All right. Nathaniel, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
I'm Carol DeZwarte. I am a volunteer with Informs. I'm also a data science and software engineering manager with Chewy. And I get to ask you all the questions that I want to ask. And then we'll see where we land with that. But can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Yeah, no, I've seen you around on Informs things.
Sweet.
Didn't know you were at Chewy. That's cool. I am a uh yeah, a passionate pet owner. Love dogs, so Chewy's awesome. But yeah, so I am a senior analytics engineer at Netflix right now. Been here not quite a year and a half. And before that, I spent a few years at Shopify, which I really enjoyed. And before that, spent 5 years at a couple of Fortune 500 companies, BNSF Railway and Keurig Dr Pepper.
I see that you are a senior analytics engineer. And in the world of analytics, OR, data science, I feel like there's 700 titles that mean like four different things. But I'm really curious because a lot of the folks who might be listening are early career professionals. What do you do as an analytics engineer?
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree on the titles being confusing. I mean, I feel like you said, yeah, 700 titles doing four different things. I think they're also sometimes the same title. People do like 700 different
That's
things.
also true, the
Um,
other direction.
yeah, but yeah, so for me, an analytics engineer, um, at Netflix at least, we do a lot of, we're kind of like a jack of all trades regarding data things.
Okay.
So we kind of fall at the intersection of data engineers, data scientists, software engineers, and business stakeholders. So I find myself doing a lot of like strategic analyses to help guide strategic decisions.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm involved in like a big kind of simulation project. Um, but generally, there's like heavy interaction with data engineers to make sure we're collecting um, the right data, calculating the right metrics. There's heavy interaction with software engineers, depending on your use case, to like integrate with their systems. And then I think the term analytics in my mind tends to be like kind of a business
Yeah.
focused term. And so you definitely are talking with stakeholders to land some sort of impact with data.
I love that. I'm going to pick on that last part. One of the things that was a consistent theme with some of our previous guests was soft skills.
Mm.
And all of us were talking about interacting with stakeholders. And do you feel like your education, your formal education, prepared you for the amount of interacting that you have to do with stakeholders? And if not, how did you sort of plus up those skills so that you were really good at that?
Ooh. Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, yeah, I do think that yeah, soft skills are super important. So I got my PhD and went into industry, and I had the perception that like I was gonna be like sitting in some cubicle, like hacking away, like doing the math, pencil and paper, like 95% of my time, and 5% of my time I would like emerge and talk to somebody and like, pass a paper.
What we all want
Yeah,
secretly.
right. At some level. But yeah, in practice, it was absolutely not that. I was actually surprised that it was closer to like, well, my like deep technical skill is being applied like closer to 5% than the 95% for sure, right? And there's a lot of stakeholder management and all this. In terms of how um my education actually prepared me for this, yeah, it's not something you pick up in like grad school technical classes so
Mhm.
much, in my
Right.
opinion. Yeah, I mean, like writing proofs and like doing, homework assignments. Like this is not like coding up something. This is not a soft skill heavy endeavor. Um, I would say, I don't know. I mean, I think it helps if you enjoy people in some way. I did do so before grad school. I did a bachelor's degree from a liberal arts university, so like that gave kind of like a
Oh.
breadth
Mhm.
of topics, like where I probably would have chosen to land myself in like kind of STEM exclusive areas. I did kind of branch out into more creative, like more um, soft skill heavy areas. Also in grad school, I did things like I was on the university lecture committee at the University of Iowa, and so um, kind of like choosing which big speakers to bring and like talk to the university. So this was like an interesting extracurricular that was so different from any math stuff I did. But a lot of it is just on the job learning. I think you
Okay.
interact with stakeholders, right? And you see how they think and try to help them out.
Yeah. Meet them where they are. Yep.
Yeah.
I like that. One of the things that I saw on your bio was that you had volunteered as a consultant for Meals on Wheels. And I'm curious how you found that opportunity. And for folks
Uh,
who want to be able to use those analytics skills for volunteering, like how can we find opportunities and how did that go for you?
oh yeah, yeah, Meals on Wheels of Tarrant County. It was at the time, maybe still is, the largest Meals on Wheels um, kind of, I guess, what do you call like the single Meals on Wheels location in the country. This was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, the way we found it was. So this was when I was at BNSF Railway on the operations research team there, and every year there was some sort of like charity drive, and Meals on Wheels was like a local kind of partner, and like a lot of donations went that direction. But our chief data scientist at the time, um, Pooja Dewan. So she was like, there, wonder if there's some way that we can use our skills to do more good. And so I think a few of us just kind of like latched into this and we're like, yeah, we would love this.
Mhm.
And so we reached out to Meals on Wheels. Turns out they are kind of like a treasure trove of like interesting logistics related and optimization related problems. By far the hardest part of that was, I think, like connecting with these non-technical, highly non-technical people about like what their problems were and how highly technical solutions could help them. So the hardest part, I think, was understanding their problems and kind of communicating how we could help. But yeah, we landed a few different. The main thing that we actually ended up delivering was not operations research related. It was a an image recognition menu scanning software. So like all these people would manually put check marks for what they wanted to order. Did they want option A or B for the next 30 days, right? And they
Okay.
would choose A, B, 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 A. And this was manually entered. Um,
Oh,
yeah. And so we automated that with some software.
that sounds really cool and really helpful.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that you had a group of colleagues who together decided that you wanted to volunteer and you wanted to help the community, and then you were able to reach out and find these opportunities.
We did. Yeah. Yeah. It was yeah, and it wasn't like super easy. I think it helped that there was an established relationship between like my company and that nonprofit already. Like that we were a significant donor. So when we reached out, it was like um,
Yeah,
there was some appetite to, pick up the phone and chat with us. And then when we actually had buy-in from leadership that we could allocate a portion of our time to this, we could tell them, hey, we're like a little bit serious about it, and we're off to the races. Yeah,
I like that. And also, Pooja is a name that a lot of us know. She's somebody that is also a heavy volunteer. So
yeah,
it's probably really helpful to have a senior lead who knows what you can bring to the table for a nonprofit. And so, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah. It was. Yeah,
Um, on the topic of volunteer work, I was thinking about, if I was, when I was early career, and even now, not so early career, one of the things that I always ask myself, and I'm curious what your perspective is on how to balance between making a name for myself at work, especially if I'm new at a job, versus continuing education and keeping myself relevant or making myself better at my craft versus volunteer work versus family and personal life. Like, how do you find that balance as an analytics professional?
oh yeah. I mean, I think it's an ever-changing problem. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I think I try to kind of follow what excites me. There have definitely been phases of my career where, um, I'm a lot more interested in, mm, let's say, volunteering or extracurricular things. I was also pretty involved in informs. I've been like chair of the railway application section. Like there were times when I was more interested in that kind of thing, and then there have definitely been times like now, I think, where I find myself a bit more really engaged and interested in like my job and like the, growing there.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, personal life is always like something I think like I try to seriously prioritize.
good.
That is, I think, super important. Yeah. So how do I balance them? Yeah, I don't have a great answer. Other than it's hard. I
Work in
try.
progress.
Yeah.
Um, in on As I'm pulling this thread on volunteer work and all the things that we're balancing, personal growth, new skills, everyone's favorite topic of the day. How much has your skill set had to change lately because of Gen AI?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's I feel like the job for most technical Mm, how do I describe? I'm trying to generalize beyond data in like software engineering, like data engineering, like analytical. Yeah, I was gonna say computer touching people, but that's probably too broad. Like I think for anyone who's like data or software engineering
Mm-hmm.
uh adjacent, I feel like the job has dramatically changed from 2, 3 years ago. Um, or if it hasn't, it like will. And I think that it's quite interesting. For me, I think it is becoming the job is much less about doing and much more about checking. But whether you're doing or you're checking, you still kind of have to have a fundamental understanding of the thing.
Right.
And this is tricky because a lot of times one of the best ways to get good at checking is to get good at doing first. And
Mhm.
so, especially for early career folks, this is a challenging space because if there's this technology that can do amazingly well, um, it can seem like a waste of your time to do it, and you just want to check it, but maybe you're not as well versed in checking because you don't understand all the gotchas that can happen when you're doing. And so, anyway, but yeah, I think there's a lot more checking involved in data optimization software jobs today than doing, which
For
is,
sure.
I guess it's just a different type of doing. Just to be clear, you're still
Yeah,
doing things, but
right.
yeah, you see where I'm going.
I do. I think that there's value in the struggle of figuring out how to solve a problem. And I always feel like I don't ever want that to fully go away. I want these tools
Yeah.
to make us faster, but I still hope that my team is honoring the struggle and at least having an idea in their head in order to, before they, have something to do it. But I totally understand that.
Yeah, one thing, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, one thing yeah, I kind of equate it to, like, I definitely am going through like some sort of like mourning phase about like the lost role that I used to have, because like one example that I give all the time is um well yeah, all the time. I guess I talk about AI too much. But crosswords, like they still show up in newspapers. We probably don't need, grandpa to solve this. Like probably a computer could like solve this for you,
Oh
but
no.
people still do crosswords. Why? Because the act of doing crosswords is like really, really fun. Well, there's all this work that GenAI can do really well. But I still liked that work, I kind of missed that work. I wish I were doing the work, but instead I'm checking the work. So yeah.
I have to admit, there are certainly times when I would rather be writing a machine learning model than washing my car. But unfortunately, AI hasn't learned to wash cars really
Yeah,
well.
true.
So yeah, I understand that one.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've experienced as an OR professional is this funny meta existence that there's so many AI tools out there that one of the things that we are learning is how to optimize our use of different AI tools.
Hmm.
So, do you have an example of how you've had to adjust your analytics so that you can use other tools and still be really efficient and like be more efficient, I guess?
Ooh. Are you talking about optimization in terms of like choosing a better tool or in terms of really refining how well you're using a tool?
Yes.
Yeah, any of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, Gosh, this is a interesting question. I think that I might not have a super good answer for this because it feels like things have been changing so rapidly on the Gen AI space
I
that like
know.
probably the best, yeah, probably the best. It feels like every few months or something, I will learn about a new Gen AI tool and start using that one, kind of fold that into my workflow. It's typically something that I see others doing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to do this. It could be like,
Mhm.
yeah, at my company, we've been seeing a lot of Gen AI created presentations, which I'm hesitant about, but also some of them are really good. So I don't like, I don't like, um, I like crafting the message. I don't like spending a lot of time on design. So amazing. Like let's have Gen AI crush the design and I'll kind of craft the narrative. So been doing some of that. When it comes to coding, yeah, I mean, I've been pretty heavily uh, using Claude. Um, some dabbling in Codex, Cursor, but like Claude is the main one. These models, I think, just kind of keep
Yeah.
tagging off. I don't do a lot of optimization around like, well, for this task, I'm going to jump to this model and this task jump to that model. That's a little bit too much overhead,
Okay.
a cognitive overload for me. I tend to just stay in my lane. Um, yeah, those are
All
a few
right.
thoughts.
That's good.
Dashboarding, I will say. I used to spend a decent amount of time clicking around in, Tableau, preset, like what have you, MicroStrategy, whatever. But
Mhm.
now a new trend that I've been seeing is there's an awful lot of, well, let's just forget the dashboarding tool. Let's just vibe code our own, like web app. So that's a thing that I've been doing a lot of. So
Really
yeah.
neat. I love that. But I'm going to move away from AI for a second. And again, thinking as someone who's early in their career, what is something that you learned when you started working that you didn't know that you wish you would have? Or like, what's something that you would share with folks so that they don't have to learn something the hard way like you did?
Mm. Yeah, something that I wish I had known early in my career. Hmm. Um, you know, yeah, I think one thing, honestly, this applies. Yeah, this is kind of like advice that I found myself reflecting on and wishing that I had felt and lived more throughout
Mhm.
my life. So both early career, but also like in all of my education. And it's
Okay.
that um, I should feel perfectly comfortable just speaking up if I don't understand something. If I don't understand something, just ask the question. No
Yeah.
one's gonna probably think you're stupid. And there's a really good chance that you will that I'll learn something from speaking up, or maybe a lot of other people don't get it either, or maybe I'll uncover something for the whole team that's super valuable. The amount of times that like speaking up and asking questions when I was nervous about it actually ended up being a bad thing is maybe close to zero. And the amount of times that it ended up being a good thing is like it's higher than my emotional self, evaluates the probability going into that question. So I think just ask questions when you don't understand something. Maybe a related thing, since we're talking early career and since people tend to switch jobs a lot.
Yes.
One thing that I've found that has been extremely counterintuitive, to me, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense is a lot of times if I'm doing an interview at a company, it'll feel like it's going okay. But the second that I say that I just don't understand something or like I don't know the answer, that's when it starts going really well. And
Mm,
it's very strange. A lot of times I feel that immediate, like, oh, well, the interview is like super comfortable now. And I think it's because the interviewer is trying to gauge, okay, well, they're saying some things that they're kind of right, kind of right. Do they really understand this? And then if they hit a topic where I acknowledge truthfully that okay, I don't know a lot about this topic or whatever. Here's the little bit I can tell you, but I really don't know much. That makes them feel a lot more comfortable and at ease, that they have a clear understanding of where you're coming from. So anyway, that's the interview setting, but I think it applies to the education setting, it applies to the work setting. Just always be upfront and honest about what you do and don't understand, and don't hesitate to ask questions. That would be my advice to myself.
the number of times that I have asked a question and had somebody slack me and say, I'm so glad you asked that because I also didn't understand.
Yeah.
And my response is always, why do I always have to be the stucky? Next time you ask the question.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's
Right.
a
Well, next
great
time you
trait
can
to
just be
use.
like, hey, yeah, you can just be like, hey, I think that I'm pretty sure that John doesn't understand.
Right.
Yeah. Throw him under the bus. Yeah.
Also, the secret with the interview is that as highly technical people, a lot of us don't love giving interviews. And so if somebody says they don't understand and you're like, okay, now we can talk shop, then that makes me
Yeah.
super happy. I can stop interviewing you and we can start collaborating on how to solve this problem. You've made me
Yeah.
happy,
And that's a signal you're looking for anyway, is can
right?
you work with that person? Yeah.
Yeah. So on the topic of interviews, and we didn't even do this on purpose, but I had a question written down that I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you do interviews in your job, but we'll assume that you do. What is something that you're going to see on a resume that makes you think, I want to talk to this person? Or
Ooh.
in an interview that makes you say, this is a hell yes.
Okay. Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, one thing I'll say, I don't, yeah. So one thing I'll say, this is a kind of a new phenomenon to me. So a lot of the technical folks will do the interview, and both at Netflix and at Shopify, um, we intentionally try to not look at the resume before interviewing the person. It's to
Okay.
eliminate bias entirely. Because like you might go into the interview differently, like this person's like Harvard PhD, this person's of a, it doesn't matter. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
talk to the
Sure.
person, do the interview, right? And so I like that approach a lot. So as I do technical hiring, or interviewing, I should say, um, I tend to not actually look at the resumes that much, which is
Okay.
great. But when it comes to actually running the interview, things that I really look for. So if it's a technical interview of some sort, I am generally very happy to see people if they illustrate kind of situational awareness as it relates to, let's say, data. So if they're like sanity checking their results as they go, if they're taking note that they're doing their own exploratory data analysis before they even answer the question. Like we ask you
Mm,
to, here's some database tables, like do this thing, and they'll do like a quick um, select star, select count. Like they're like, okay, the revenue per quarter is roughly this much. So now I have an intuition here going into what the answer might be. Like I know the answer has to be less than the full quarter revenue because you asked about a specific product or whatever. So I love this kind of like situational awareness, kind of sanity checking and establishing intuition in a new space. That type of maturity, I think, manifests itself as well, like with sanity, with checking your own answers as you go. So like you get an answer, don't just be like, is this right? But convince yourself that it's right. And they do this. So I love that. Love a good organized coder. Just someone who's just like kind of organized, like they can stay. If it's clear to me what they're doing, then it's probably very clear to them, and they're not gonna get lost. Um, yeah, those are some things that come to mind. Yeah.
how do you feel about commenting in code? Is that considered organized? Or is that considered wasted time?
No, I think it can be. I mean, I think especially with like analysis code, like if we're talking SQL like querying, I think that can be great. I definitely comment in that code. or at least I did when I coded. Um, but but yeah, when it comes to like Python or something, if you're doing an algorithm, that one is where I actually think it should be kind of self-commented, self-documented, I
Ah,
mean, by well-named variables. Like it should just be straightforward.
oh,
Name your variables well. It should be clear to read.
yeah,
But yeah.
I love that. I recently was in a conversation with someone who said that they had picked up a SQL query from someone who no longer worked at the company, and every variable was named after a Flintstones character. I was like,
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
brilliant and traumatizing all at the
Hmm.
same time. Yeah.
Like,
So I don't know if you attend Informs conferences, but I hope you do. And if you have, I'm curious what your favorite conference is and why.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I've definitely attended Informs conferences. Been to the business analytics conference as well as the Informs annual meeting.
Okay.
Um, hmm. I mean, I think they serve different purpose. Those are the ones I've been to. But I think they kind of serve different. They scratch different itches.
They do.
If you are really interested in going deep and like out about a specific technical problem you're facing, then the annual meeting is great for that. You can go be in a room with the four other people that can speak the same language as you, and you can just like chat about it. But if
Yeah.
you want to kind of I also think it's really really good, especially early career. I think to go to to the analytics meeting, it is a lot more accessible. It illustrates kind of like at a high level what companies are doing, and especially early career when you maybe have less of an understanding of how your skill set can add value to companies, that's a great place to go and to see all the like breadth of applications that are being run at all these different companies and how they're adding value. So yeah, a more accessible kind of high level, not going to get into the nitty gritty, the theorem 3.2s of the world. But yeah, the more practical aspect. So I like them both for different reasons. Lately, I've found myself more gravitating toward business analytics, but yeah, I think that just comes from I think drifting a little closer to the stakeholder side of things and a little bit
Ah,
less, yeah, a little bit less toward what's interesting. I would I would hazard a guess. I could be wrong here, but I do feel like most OR and analytics professionals, I would guess, tend to be in a position where it might be better to do the 80% solution and then move on. 80% solution and then move on. If
makes
you're
sense.
working at like a Cplex group, like an extreme like research company that is trying to like eke out that last 1%, then you probably really do need to be right there with the four people that
Yeah.
speak your same language, shoulder to shoulder, figuring out that like nuanced heuristic adjustment or what have you. Um, but uh, but yeah, so I think most people are probably thinking a bit more generally, solve things simply, move
Yeah.
on.
I really like your point about the Analytics Plus conference and that it gives you a view of what the breadth of the industry is doing and what your colleagues are doing in various industries, what businesses are. And I hadn't really thought about it that way. I've been in an applied area most of my life, so that has always fit more to my application. But just in terms of learning what's out there, I think that's a great point. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so tell me about something that went wrong for you at work.
Something that went wrong for me at work.
Yeah, that you learned
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. Several things. One thing that went wrong, probably the biggest mistake of my career.
All
Um,
right, this one's a
hey,
big.
yeah, hey, old boss. Is yeah, so I think that I stumbled myself onto a very challenging, extremely granular forecasting problem that was, in my opinion, always like a high risk, high reward kind of thing.
Okay.
But I did not. align, I think, with my manager on those expectations. And so I think that my manager fully expected that this was a low risk, high reward kind of situation. And the when my work did not end up panning out after multiple months of like
Mhm.
really pushing for improved accuracy on this like very challenging problem, this was not a pleasant realization for my manager, and we basically had kind of tension leading up to this. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I think that was basically the scenario. And I
Okay.
think that what I could have done better and what I kind of took away from that is you always want to be on the same page with your manager, like explicitly in terms of like
Absolutely.
risk versus reward trade-off. Um, and if there's a discrepancy, no problem if you learn that early. You can handle that, right? You can deal with this.
Mhm.
But then also, I think needing to be very, very. I've tried to be a lot more militant about quick milestones. And if you're like basically fail fast is the quote, right? So if you're
Mhm.
gonna fail, like try to do it quickly, build incremental things, and if at some point you realize you can't squeeze anything else out of this, try to pivot quickly.
I like it. I like it. All right. So last couple of questions here because we're running out of time. So I've got two left. The first one is I'd love to hear sort of the opposite, but something that happened early in your career that just put you on this awesome path or like changed how you perceive your opportunities or was a surprise success.
Yeah. Yeah, I have I guess thinking early career. So yeah, my first job out of grad school. Um, this was when I was at BNSF Railway.
Okay.
Freight railroads. I guess there's a lot of like there are a lot of lifers at freight railroads, and there was this one stakeholder that was absolutely a lifer, had probably been at the railroad for 30 years or something. And so I landed on this project because the person before me had left, at least partially because the stakeholder was so challenging to work with. Um, and this project involved basically we were trying to semi-automate part of what their team does and like give them decision assist tools was the buzzword of the day.
Okay.
And so we were trying to give them decision assist tools, and this stakeholder was like not happy with a partnership with like the OR team, and things were tough. So um, this other operations research person leaves, and I get on the project and I jump in there. Um, Stakeholder is very disgruntled. Stakeholder is very not
Yeah.
happy. I am worried going in, but and I'm pretty green, right? So I'm like nervous, and it's like the scary, AVP, stakeholder, 30 years of the railroad, they understand all this stuff. And
Totally.
but I'm listening to the person and trying to connect it to what we're doing and trying to listen to the concerns. And you know, as like the weeks go by, I start like kind of seeing things his way, actually. And it's like, oh, like you're actually right to be concerned about things. Like you're right, and I get it now. And so I think that having this
Powerful.
um curiosity instead of yeah, just having a curiosity to try to understand their perspective helped a lot. And fast forward, like over the next like year or two, we end up building like a really strong partnership. He ended up being like one of our team's best stakeholders. I got
Wow.
invited to his retirement party. And this is from like initial what started with like he would like cuss out like the data team, like you guys can't do this, like this is terrible, it's junk you're shipping. Anyway, so that was a highlight in my career. I think like going from like literally being, hearing curse words in the meeting, like being like, what am I onboarding done to like eventually getting invited to shout out Larry's retirement party, because he was right. He was right. You just have to understand. Most people are not just like dead wrong, right? You just have to kind of understand where they're coming from. And so anyway, that was an eye opener for me.
I really like this. Yep. And also earning that trust so
Yeah,
that that person became a partner in the
it
future.
felt
That's
really good. It felt
really
better
good.
than, yeah, it felt quite good.
Amazing. All right. My last question. What is a decision or project that you work on that truly makes the world a little better?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Um, I know, yeah, a lot of people are very, very motivated by like ethical, like making the world a better place. I'm slightly motivated by this, but mostly I just love working on a good, challenging project with super
Yes.
sharp people. And if there's a side effect of like making the world a better place, then I love that too. So yeah, I mean, I haven't optimized for this in my career is the thing I'm saying. That being said, um, I think, I mean, there are definitely things that I've worked on that have made the world a better place. I mean, I think making freight railroads more efficient, saving money on fuel, a really cool project I worked on involved basically, there are all these rail cars on tracks that you have to like move around to build trains. And so I built
Mhm.
an optimization algorithm that minimized how much moving was required to build your train. Because like
Okay.
it's like, well, you could grab these cars or these cars. So which ones should you grab to
Hmm.
and this is great because it has huge safety implications. People get seriously injured in these processes. And so
Right.
minimizing that can help a person. So that was cool.
I like it.
Um, Similarly, efficiency plays in the food and beverage industry, like just saving money. It's just generally good for the environment. You know, you don't want to spend as much, um, yeah, burn as much fuel if you can't help it, if you can help it. But yeah, and then one of the things I'm on the ads team at Netflix. Um, we try to consider all of our like stakeholders, like Netflix wants to make money, advertisers want to make money, but then the members want to like not be annoyed by ads. And so we typically try to pay attention to all of these things. And I do like pay attention to member metrics and try to make folks have an enjoyable time on their Netflix ads plan. But yeah, so like I said, none of these are like optimized. There's no like, I cured world hunger. There's none of this, but I think there are oftentimes silver linings to a lot of the technical work that OR professionals or analytics professionals end up doing.
Yeah. And I think there's a nugget in there that you're not giving yourself enough credit for that is that what you want to do is to solve hard problems with smart people and to have fun doing it. And it's funny because whenever someone asks me in an interview what I want to do with my career, I always say that. I
Mm,
kind of don't care. If you want me to calculate how many roof tiles are in my neighborhood, if I'm doing it with people that I feel inspired by and that's going to help someone somewhere, we're doing this. And
yeah,
for me, it's being around people and being able to come to work with people who challenge me every day, but who also have great ideas and goofy senses of humor and solving really hard problems because that's what's fun in the analytics world. So I
I
love that.
share that view. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Nathaniel. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me and for
Thank
joining
you.
Informs in our Informs webinar. And I hope that our paths cross again at some point.
Me too.
Mike Prince actually was someone I interviewed for a position that he turned down. And then maybe 9 months later, he interviewed me for a position in the company that he went to. And I ended
Ah,
up there. And so we
small
ended up
world.
colleagues so it's a small world. And I
Were
also
you
worked,
guys at Convoy? I forgot.
yeah, I was at Convoy
Okay.
with them. Yep. And I
Nice.
also worked with Amir Gahari, who was at
Yep.
BNSF
Yep. I
with
know him.
Mike. Yep. Amir is a good
Hmm.
friend of mine. So
That's awesome.
love
Yeah.
the
No,
small world.
I know both of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to give you a shout and be like, hey, I need some help in this Informs volunteer position, and you're going to help me, right?
Feel free. You can always give me a shot.
Right? Right. And you're like,
Yeah.
and I can always say no, but I will
Maybe.
endeavor to make you say yes.
That
But
sounds good. No, I mean, I love hearing about opportunities. So I
yeah, it's a
like being
great
engaged.
organization.
I
Sweet,
agree.
sweet. Thanks,
Awesome.
Nathaniel.
Well, thanks. Yeah. You ran that really well. Yeah.
Thank
Made it
you.
easy.